Hey everyone. I want you to see the cow. Somehow my camera moved. Ooh, there we go. Okay. Hey everyone. Here we are for day number 4 of our 30 days of live streams. Let me get this light on. Whew. So, that's interesting. Now it's acting weird. Um, Today we're talking about worthiness matters. And the question I told you I would address today is how how do you live without the trauma identity? So just like yesterday, I'm not going to attempt to answer that directly, and a direct answer may show up as we keep going. Um, but we're just going to have that on the table. It's one of the ways of practicing contemplation. Um, we in our cultural conditioning, we are taught to like really focus our minds this way and problem solve this way. But if you study like horses in a field, they spend 90% of their time grazing. If somebody tries to attack them or they hear a noise, they do what they need to do and then they go back to grazing. We have a tendency not to go back to grazing as people in our modern world. We have a tendency to keep looking for more problems to solve. One of the ways that you can learn to practice a healthier way of being is be with a question, write it down, and then put it off to the side. Don't try to answer it. Just just be gentle with it. Let it sit there. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna say the question again, and then we're gonna table it. I'm gonna talk about a few other things, and then we'll come back to it. So the question is, how do you live without the trauma identity? Remember that we have the trifecta. By the way, I got a message from a couple of you, 2 people, told me the difference between a ship and a boat. So I'll tell you that in a second. But remember that our trifecta, it's a ship. Our trifecta ship is, there's another ship. We have spirituality, we have awareness of trauma, and we have peak performance with authentic expression. So, boat and a ship. Okay, so Orion said you can put a boat in a ship, but you can't put a ship in a boat because that's how he remembers the two. So this is what we have going on in our logo is a ship. Julie said it's a ship. A ship traverses mighty seas. Beautiful sharing, Debbie. Yes, it takes courage to be truly yourself. What a wonderful series. Thank you, Julie. So, as I'm talking, if you have comments or anything, you can share them here. I'm able to see them and I'm navigating better here at YouTube. Okay, what I wanted to talk about today, as far as worthiness, is hanging out at the upper part of the emotional scale. Most people who are here, who are part of joy based living, the emotional scale. We have the negative emotions at the bottom. I want to talk about this today. We have the more positive emotions at the top. In the middle, we have the more neutral emotions. Now, I had something happen to me yesterday that really upset me, and I was enraged. I didn't realize until this morning why I was as enraged as I was. Um, I'm going to say it in some trauma terms here. Someone was trying to gaslight me about somebody else. And it was like they were trying to make me believe that this person who's been, quite frankly, isolated, gaslighted, and victimized is the one who is going to be abandoned now, and it's her fault. And I was just, and I wasn't, and the person who was trying to gaslight me was saying, well, I'm not responsible for her. And I'm like, if you saw somebody hurt on the street and the person who hurt them like had ran off and the person was still sitting there on the street, wouldn't you go up and help them? Like, and just let them know, do you need anything? Are you okay? Like, that's part of being human. So I was enraged at many levels, but when I realized today, like why was I as enraged as I was because someone was trying to mess with my reality, my experience. So rage is like anger, and rage is like over here. Now, when you're thinking about worthiness matters, right? Worthiness means I, I want to feel good and I'm worthy of feeling good. Well, does rage feel good? Well, rage doesn't feel good unless you were first feeling powerless or attacked. and then rage feels good. But the trick was I didn't want to stay there. The trick for me, the hard part for me, I spent a lot of time in meditation last night because I didn't want to keep when you have something very emotional that happens, sometimes your mind just keeps repeating it, rehashing it. And I got to moments and minutes, I won't say hours, but where I was experiencing some of the higher emotions, and I felt a lot more content. So I slept better. I woke up this morning. I was still rehashing, but it wasn't as emotionally strong. So I want you to think about how worthiness worthiness matters. If worthiness matters to you, then feeling good matters to you. So think about that. And I wanted to share something else. Then I'm going to go back to the question. When we're having to deal with a consistent pattern of living in the negative emotions, and that's what happens when someone's traumatized. They're living in a lot of sadness, a lot, and I don't have sadness here because sadness can be on so many levels. Sadness can be like deep, deep, deep grief. Sadness can be, with a sense of acceptance and willingness to feel it. So I didn't put sadness on here for that reason. But if somebody's like feeling powerless, and has spent a lot of years in these emotions, you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to like go, I want to live. You're gonna have to like, that when you see like these boxing movies with like Sylvester Stallone and or Die Hard or something, you have to like get your will to go unless you have some kind of transcendent, I don't know, breakthrough of knowing that you're one with all of love or something. I don't count on that though. If it happens, great, but I don't sit around waiting for it. But when you're here, you might have to fight. You might have to fight for your worthiness and go, I don't want this anymore. I want out of here. This is not okay. This is not good. I want to heal. I want to feel better. Okay. One of the tricky things for people who are post trauma healing, they've done a lot of trauma healing. They're having more moments here and they're still fighting. You don't have to keep fighting. When you're up here, you can simply hear what I want you to imagine is up here, you have somebody sweetly calling to you, going, come on, come this way. You know how, like, if you have a little kid and they're learning to walk and you're like, come on, come over here, come to me, come to me. And you're like the face that's shining at them and going, come on, come this way. And you encourage them from up here. I want you to feel like you're that person being encouraged. Now, a couple of days ago, I showed you I reviewed the joy based living elements, right? And we talked about desires over here. And worthiness matters means one of my desires is to experience my own worthiness and to feel appreciation for my own worthiness, because when I do that for myself, then I can appreciate the worthiness in other people even more. And when I do that, I can let my desires pull me forward. So your desires when you're down here are like, get me out of here. I wish I had bought this thing years ago. I saw it in a Walgreens. It was a box and it was plastic and it looked like a shipping box from like Africa that you might see like on stuff like somebody bringing something home from safari. So like a wooden crate box. And when you shook it, there you heard, get me out of here. Get me out of here. And I just thought that was so funny. I didn't realize how much I felt that on the inside at the time, or I really should have bought it. But anyway, um, you want to, when you're here, you feel like that. You feel like you're stuck in this wooden crate and you're like, get me out here. Can somebody hear me, please? And when you get better at healing, you don't have to yell that loud. You're like, oh, there it is. There's anger. Yesterday I was like rage. I was like, okay, well, rage is better than powerlessness. The key for me is I want to keep moving up, right? So I didn't have to go get me out of here. I did let a couple of friends know what I was going through, so I wasn't alone. One of the friends was just a few friends. Oh, it's just so good to me. Just like, I'm just here for you. How are you doing? It's all right. I can totally relate. I was really enraged when blah blah blah. Like I was like, because these are friends of mine who, if I was out of line, they would tell me. They're the kind of friends, and this is where I wanted to come to also, is that about worthiness. When you know your worthiness, you can let positive criticism in and you can trust yourself to do that. if you don't let any positive criticism in, if you don't ever let anybody in to help you shape your life or move forward, or if you don't ever let anybody in, that's a very untrusting way to be in the world. It's a very lonely way to be in the world. And when you are established in worthiness, you can let yourself trust yourself to know who to turn to, because the people who criticize what you're doing aren't going to do it to try to put you down. They're going to do it to try to help you. So the people I contacted were people who, if I was out of line, or I was like, harping about something that I really shouldn't be, or if I was being hurtful to myself or others, they would tell me. And I received a lot of validation and kindness. Um, I want to do the right thing. And so when you're established in worthiness and knowing that worthiness matters, you will choose people who lift you and validate you for the purposes of helping you heal, not for the purposes of trying to keep your trauma and drama going. So I'm going to read this question again now, right? We let it sit to the side. How do you live without the trauma identity? If you've had a strong trauma identity, you have to give yourself a tremendous amount of release. You have to grieve. You have to let yourself be angry, and you have to let yourself find people who represent the best in you, who reflect back the you that feels worthy, who look at you with eyes of, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. You have to get situated in your authentic self, which can be really hard if it's been pummeled and beaten up for many years. So, how do you live without the trauma identity? You get to know your authentic self and you treat it as though it is the most worthy thing in the whole world, because it is. It is your gift to the world. It's why I'm here. I asked myself this question yesterday to keep myself on track with this conversation of worthiness matters. And I said, where is my devotion? My devotion, me, Debbie Happy Cohen, Reverend Sassy Shorts, my devotion is to the best in you. And I said, "What's the highest truth I can speak?" The highest truth I can speak is from my body and from my heart. So when I'm here, I feel like a strong push-pull, more of a fight. When I'm up here, I feel more like I'm being called. My devotion is to continue to follow that calling. And my calling, I believe, when I'm listening to my heart, is tuned in to the prayers that other people have. And I don't know who those people are. Those people could be you who are online with me right now. Those people could be people who are across the universe just calling out for more positivity in the world. I don't know. But when I tune into my heart and I listen, that's where the calling of love guides me. And that guidance might be about what I eat today. That guidance might be about what I speak today. That guidance might be about how I choose to move with my career. So, how do you live without the trauma identity? You live joyfully without the trauma identity. You are not the trauma identity. The trauma identity is a lie, and you are the truth. The authentic you is the truth. And we're here to help set you free and encourage you to live as loud as you want to from your place of authenticity. The world needs your joy. The world needs your love. The world needs the authentic you. Keep riding that ship, the trifecta. See you tomorrow. Thanks for being here.